Plantish Live. I'm Nina Curtis. My co-host Cesabek Randall and I go live Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today I'm excited to be speaking with Insa Mohr. She's the co-founder and CEO of OffBeast Foods. Did you know that 99% of the plant-based meat market is still dominated by burgers and nuggets? Well, OffBeast is breaking new ground by pioneering whole-cut plant-based steaks. Yes, you heard it right. Whole-cut plant-based steaks. This is one of the fastest growing segments, yet it's the most untapped. So Insa is going to join me in just a moment. We're going to cut right down the middle of this plant-based steak and talk about what is happening in the industry, what's the demand for this category, and what Insa is doing to be a disruptor and bring great product to your plate. Welcome everyone coming in. If this is your first time joining, welcome. We have a very engaging and inclusive community. So I always welcome you to drop your questions, drop your comments, and be a part of the conversation. If you're already buying, purchasing, enjoying OffBeast, would you drop a green heart in the chat so we know and we can talk about it together? But I'm very excited about this conversation. I've had some conversations with Insa offline, and yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation today. You know how we do. We wait for Instagram to do what it does so we can get Insa in here with us, and it will just be a moment. So please let me know where you're tapping in from. Drop a heart. Let me know that you're in here, and we'll get started in just a minute. This is something we're kind of used to with this IG platform, but it never stops us. I see a heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you, OffBeast. Let's see, let's keep trying this until it lets us in. I'm waving at everybody. How's everyone doing? Please grab your beverage of choice, pull up a seat to what we like to call the green table, and we are going to get this party started. Please share it out with someone you feel needs to hear this conversation so that they can get in. Yes, if you do have to go, we will be playing, posting the replay as we always do. So don't worry about that. We are just going to not stop here. We never stop. It's Taco Tuesday, so I think this would be a good day to get some OffBeast and make some steak tacos, don't you? How's everyone doing? Let's see. Hi, Insa, are you there?
Yes, thank you so
Okay, for some reason, sometimes, TikTok does, Instagram does its thing, but you can see me, I can see you, we can hear each other. So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Can you, is your mic up?
Yes, can you hear me both, or is there anything I should do differently?
It's a little low on my end. In the chat, everyone, because it doesn't matter if everyone can hear, can you just drop a thumbs up or a yes, a Y to say you can hear Insa fine and myself? Can you just drop a Y or let us know, those of you that are in here with us, that you can hear and see Insa fine, and we will rock and roll. And so we have a very engaging community here with Plantish. So, it's, again, maybe you heard me say it's not just us kind of talking. Sound is low on Insa. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Okay, is it better now?
Perfect.
Awesome. Great.
April, thank you.
Sorry.
All
This is
right,
my
no worries,
practice
no
test
worries.
run.
No worries. Fam, you know how we roll here. Please drop your questions, drop your comments, drop your thoughts, drop your hearts, send your emoji fires, because this is what we do. Thank you, April. Thank you for confirming that. We're all good to go. I know you can hear me because I just project my voice. So if I need to bring it back a little bit, I can do that. Insa, thank you for making the time to be here
Yeah,
with
thanks for
us.
having me. Yeah, it seems like you researched the market so well.
Yeah, I love researching. I've been vegan for 25 years, so
Yeah.
I've seen a lot come and go. And this market, we've had maybe you've seen, but we've had several, I think some of your colleagues and other pioneers like yourself come on and, talk with us about what's happening. And the whole goal of Plantish is to really get close and comfortable with
Mhm.
people such as yourself and hear it from the kind of get into your mind about, how you came about this and what your thoughts are because our community, including me, even as a professional chef, I'm a consumer first. And
Yes.
so I think once we have a chance to not just read an article, that was written about you, I've read several in interviews, I've watched you on video, but to hear from you, because I know through reading and the research about your company, you really listen to consumer demand. So tell us,
Right.
you span from a background of information technology and finance. How
Yeah.
did you wind up with Off Beast and why Off Beast?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna answer the name first. I
Okay.
think something that I like most about fellow vegans is that they're all a little bit offbeat, right? Like we do something differently in the best way. So that's
Yes.
how offbeat came along.
Okay. Okay.
Um, how did I came along with it? I had a bit of a background in like bioprocessing to companies like this, but as it always is, I think passion is most important.
Sure.
And I think basically the reason why I'm so excited for it, so it's hard to hide from my accent. I grew up in Germany. My grandparents were farmers, and my dad grew up in a farm in like poor post Second World War Germany. And so I think growing up, there was a really strong culture or mindset of you have to eat what's on your plate. And if you don't, it came across as a little bit spoiled. And so, as children and teenagers, when first my sister and then my sister, like me and my cousins, so basically everyone in my generation, stopped eating meat, I think there was first a bit of tension because there was some misunderstanding. But eventually it turned into like a really good discussion. And like now, like my parents are like my company's biggest fans. They eat plant-based meat. They tell others about this. And so I think what I learned from that is that instead of like being too like I think my style in convincing others to eat more plant-based food, I try to not be too judgmental or aggressive or point with my fingers. I really just try to give like really, really good options and make like a lot of positive, continuous conversations. So, for example, my grandma, God bless her, she was the most amazing woman. Like when she heard that we don't eat meat anymore, she cooked chicken for us, and she was like, "It's not meat, it's chicken." And like she clearly didn't do that for a malicious intent, right? So I
Right.
think often it's just like you need a positive view of people and talk to them like gently and kindly and just explaining over and over the rationale again. So I think that's something that really shaped me and why I love what I'm doing so much.
I love that. It's like the, question is, are eggs dairy? And people want to fight that they are. And it's like, no, it's a whole different
Yeah.
segment. And people could say, well, there's no dairy. Eggs aren't dairy. And so it's a lot of kind of explaining. The other thing I love about how you advocate and say, listen, yeah, I loved the taste of meat, but I don't love the suffering. I don't need
Yes.
it for that. And we always get that offbeat, I'm going to say, question about you vegans. If you're, why do you like me? Why do you keep trying to
Uh-huh.
make
Yeah.
all these fake
That's my
meat?
pet peeve. Yes, because
Yes.
it tastes good. Like, I'm not ashamed to ask as a vegan. For me, it's hard to be a vegan, especially living in the US. It's not easy for me to be a vegan. So I think there's no shame in it. I just try to change that situation.
Yeah, because it's about the texture, the flavor, and the taste. And
Mhm.
then I always kind of turn it around and go, what do you do with whatever animal flesh you eat? You put seasonings on it. What are those seasonings? They're most often plant-based. So let's
Yeah,
have the real conversation,
yeah, I agree.
So tell me, you heard what I said. I know you know the stats, and I love
Mhm.
stats because it's like my background in finance and numbers also. The numbers don't lie. So we have to look at what is out there. I think we
Mhm.
all know that one of the largest growing communities is what's called the flexitarians
Mhm.
that are really driving the market for some of the demand. Would you agree?
Um, I agree and I disagree. I
Mm,
think with everything new, it's always like first there's, a very, very, very excited core of customers, and then
yes.
other people follow along. And I think, for example, plant-based burgers are really, really far along, right? But if you look at like how that started, Beyond Meat and Impossible started focusing on vegans. And then like they improved the product and eventually they were good enough for the masses, like from vegans to vegetarians to flexitarians and hopefully one day to really radical carnivores. And I
Yes.
think steaks are a bit more early in the journey. So I would definitely say that the most exciting customers, and I know there's one in the call. Hi, April. I think she's been one of our earliest and most loyal fans. They are vegan, but you really see the process. So vegans reach out to us like we love this, and so we had family gatherings and showed this to everyone else. So I think like yeah, steaks currently making it from vegans to vegetarians to flexitarians. It's just a bit earlier in the journey
Yes.
compared to other plant-based meat products.
I love that. Hi, April. Welcome in. Thank you for being here and the support. I mean, I've been vegan 25 years, but I wasn't born vegan. My co-host, Chef
Yeah.
Cesarek Randall, is vegan since birth, and it's not just
Wow.
him. He goes back 2 generations. His grandparents were vegan. And
Wow,
so
that's
when,
amazing.
for him trying some of these things, it's like a first time, where for you and I, it's kind of like you have that bite.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a imprint, a blueprint on your tongue almost, right? Welcome
Yeah.
in, everyone. Thank you for coming in. Please say hello to us. Please send your emojis. Please ask any questions. Please ask your thoughts. Let's have a great and dynamic conversation as we do. So, and so what did it take? What did it take to get to where you're at? I know you have a proprietary, let me get that out, say
Mm-hmm.
that 10 times, a proprietary process, which we
Mm-hmm.
understand. But what did it take? And what was your experience and your learning in being able to get the fibers? Because we
Mm-hmm.
know animal flesh, the muscle part,
Mm-hmm.
right? But how did you find plant-based fibers
Mm-hmm.
that can, I don't want to
Yeah.
say emulate, but be so,
Yeah.
tasty and real like that I might
Yeah.
say, wait a minute, are you sure this isn't real meat? Because I've had that experience with some things.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks for asking this question. So I think one of the premises or main idea we have in the company is that the best way to replicate nature comes from nature. And basically, if you look at what a steak is, it's nothing but a muscle tissue, right? From like a poor little innocent cow that should not be eaten. And if you look at how it's made up, it's basically fibers that are bundled to little strands and then bundled again. And if you look at plants, basically they also make excellent fibers. So basically what we started doing is like shredding plants to get like these fibers and then bundling them in the same way to get like this muscle tissue. And I think the most interesting learning we had. So, if you look at the two or three other methods to make plant-based steaks that competitors use, it's all really, really early, but you often see that it's very uniform and parallel. So, for example, if you extrude something, often you just get, fibers that are like this. But if you look at nature and if you look at like real whole cut meat, it's very different, right? Nature doesn't work like this. It's random and like the fibers go into much more directions than just like this uniform parallelity. And so when we developed the product for some time, we tried that too, and it was good. But like for us, this groundbreaking learning was to starting emulating nature by like randomizing it and like by also making like the fibers go into different directions, like how it's made in nature. And that was really groundbreaking. I think that was really what like took the product from good to like really good. And so basically it's just because nature is random. So we should also make it random. And
Yeah.
basically something I really like is that no two steaks from us are alike because there's always just like, a degree of like this randomness in there, just like in nature.
Right. So that's awesome. And it makes sense. If you've taken a biology class, we definitely know this as fact. And it just comes back to what we know. And if we stop long enough to
Hmm.
think about it, it all
Hmm.
makes sense. So we've had people come on and talk about precision fermentation.
Mhm.
We've had people talk about molecular layering.
Mhm.
What is the process that you can speak to that you use without obviously divulging any of your proprietary information?
We still need some great name to bring it out as like an
Oh,
alternative to all the things out there, but it's
okay.
basically what I said. So we have these plant fibers and then we bundle them and bundle them again. So this is how we make that.
Okay. So is it close to 3D? Um,
So that's something we started out with, and
okay,
it's exactly what I said. It's good, but I think 3D printing
got it.
isn't great because it's
Got it.
too homogeneous. It's too technical. It's
Sure.
just not how nature works, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Fam, how are you loving this conversation? Is it making sense? Please drop some hearts, green hearts, if it's making sense to you. If you have any questions, because Insa, what has been some of the craziest things you've heard people say, when you've been out on the road or talking to people or people that you've used in the testing process of this? What are some of the craziest things you can think of? Like, oh my gosh, did you hear what you just said to me? Like, have you
We
gotten any marriage proposals, or has someone said, "Oh, I want to take you
I
around the
think
world"?
I think we received a lot of like surprisingly good feedback that we're really happy about. But I think the crazy like the unhinged peoples, those are always like just really, really, really radical carnivores. And so once we reached out to a steakhouse, seeing that they don't have a single vegan option on the menu, and then the owner wrote us that we all look, how do you say, amanic? Like we all look like we have
Oh,
iron
anemic,
deficiencies.
anemic.
And we are the last company on earth he wants to work with.
Wow. Wow. I came into veganism, bodybuilding. Like, my body one day I woke up and it was like, we're not going to do this anymore. And I was like, we're not going to do what? And it was like, we don't want any animal flesh anymore. And I was like, how am I going to, build muscle? Where am I getting my protein from? I was strong in that thought, but I was also doing a lot of nutritional studying because I
Yeah,
was going down that road. And I really just started doing the work and I got stronger. I recovered
amazing.
faster. I slept better. So it was a no-brainer to me. And I come from a family, my dad being a professional chef, my mom being the best cook. So it wasn't so hard for me to figure out how
Yeah,
to take my favorite dishes and, make them work for me and get enough protein and bioavailable
yeah,
protein. And there just weren't the products around. I mean, I know the tempeh, the tofu, if it's there, I've been there and I've done it and enjoyed this. But I think you've opened up such an opportunity for people not to have excuses like, I'd
yeah,
rather die than give
yeah,
up whatever it is you
yeah.
fill in the
I
blank.
agree.
And
I
it's
agree.
probably going to kill them. So I'm like, be careful of
Yeah.
your affirmations, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's one, again, I grew up in Europe and we adopt a lot of things from US culture, but like
Yes.
veganism is one thing where I would wish that the US would get a bit more European inspired. Like in Germany, people never believe it because apparently it's not the reputation, but in our generation, there's such a strong awareness that we have to save the environment and factory farming has to end. So in like my age almost 20% of people are vegetarian or vegan, and
Yes.
then like the same amount are flexitarian. So it's like almost half of people are flexitarian, vegetarian, or vegan, and it's amazing. And
Yes.
I feel it's like just what you said. If I tell people in the US that I'm vegan, often the first question is like, oh, how do you get your protein? Because people think first about what's in it for them. And if
Yeah.
I tell people in Germany, it's like the first question is, oh, do you do it for animals or the environment? Because it's so clear, right? There's no other option to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a company that's actually taking the meat out of their name, which,
Yes.
and when reading about why they were doing it, it was because they want to focus on protein. So why do you think protein is still, obviously it's important, but when we look at macronutrients, as important are carbohydrates and good fats, not simple carbohydrates,
Yeah.
complex carbohydrates. But why? I mean, I think I know, but I want to hear your point of view from where you sit. Why do you think protein is still holding strong? It's like people call kale king. There's a lot of leafy greens that are beneficial and great for us. So what are your thoughts on
And
that?
I don't know, to be honest. I just have like hypotheses or assumptions. One thing I do notice about living here is it does seem for me that nutrition is a bit more trend focused. And
Mhm.
I would be really, really curious to see some data or information at some point on how or like where these information are coming from, right? Is it like from science? Is there maybe some lobby in there? But I agree, there seems to be some really strong like focus towards protein, which I admit is important, but it's not the most important thing. Another
Sure.
thing, just to show like how trend focused we are, is like I never really heard the term seed oil, and like there is like pros and cons and different opinions on like how much of a needle mover it is in nutrition. Within
Yes.
literally weeks, like customers keep on asking for this topic. So it really shows like, there's like some maybe a bit more trend focused idea on what's important for nutrition that very much changes throughout the years.
Yeah. I agree with that. And being from the United States,
Hmm.
I'm on the West Coast in California, and I'm fifth generation Los Angeles. I really get it. And food is politics. Food is politics. And I work in healthcare, and it's really politics because of the subsidies that we get.
Yeah,
And, so I kind of know where this push is coming from. And it's
yeah,
definitely from the beef and the fish and,
yeah,
the poultry that they put out. And we've seen in the past few years, but I think it's ramped up where some of these industries are really putting out false information about
yeah,
plant-based diets. If you have someone like Chef Sesabek that's been vegan since birth and he can go 3 generations and they're all doing well for the most part. I mean, we can all have issues. Being a vegan
yeah,
doesn't wipe out everything that could happen to you. We still have to take responsibility, not for just what we put in
yeah.
our mouth, but stress, etc. So I know that's important. I want to just tap in a little bit. So tell us about the products you have. What is it
Mhm.
that you make? And I read about it, so I want to let everyone hear from you.
So main idea is we want to make premium plant-based whole cuts. So we do have different steak cuts in which are rib eyes and filet mignons. We also do have steak bites, which are a bit more like everyday products that you can like use, I don't know, to make sauces, stews, pasta, and so on. And then we're very big on bringing on partnerships because there's a lot of other vegan companies with great products that are not yet seen. And through these partnerships, we also offer a salmon fillet and a chicken fillet. And
Wow.
also, can't disclose yet, but we also have some very exciting new products in the pipeline.
I love that. I love that. So again, you're just wiping out the excuses. We have the texture, you have the flavor, you have good products. And yes, April, veganism wipes out a lot too. For sure, we know that. I think, I've been doing this long enough that I know a lot of people take the term veganism as, oh, you're in some cult. That's what the
Yeah.
look I get from people like, oh, she's one of them. Or I'll get, you don't look like a vegan. And I'm like, well, what does a vegan look like? Because we come in multiple sizes, shapes,
Yeah.
colors. And, I'm not one of those vegans. I think I throw them off because, like you said, I'm not one of those that come to preach. I have family members I love who are not vegan, but I know I've had a positive impact in
Hmm.
getting them to think differently about what's on their plate because
Yeah.
when we go out to eat together, they're like, see, I got more salad.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm biased, but I have such a strong belief that vegans are just the nicest people in the world, and we really see it when just working with customers. I don't think there's a single other startup in like, I don't know, AI, software industry that gets so many nice messages as we do. I mean, because
That's
we're a
my
startup, we all, sometimes things go wrong, like packages get lost, or like maybe once every 2 weeks we pack something wrong into a package. It happens. And like
yes.
most people are just so nice about it and say thank you for doing this. Like I'm so, so, so grateful that yeah, we can work with such people and that they're out there.
I do agree. I've come up against some different ones too, but my softness was like, you can calm down. Otherwise, I'm going to turn differently. So people that know me know I'm nice until I'm not. and you've had to come for someone I love that would make me that way. But yes, I think if we have a compassion for animals, I'm always sharing with people. We still have to have a compassion for humans, even though sometimes I know people will say, I'd rather be with animals than humans. And yes, we can say that, but that's not all of us. And that's not all of us that are just vegan. So I love that. I just want to take a moment, Insa, and make sure we're talking to our community, getting some of those chicken fillets tomorrow. Okay, April, we see you in here and you're a big round shape. That must be a happy vegan. I love that. And when we've got 35 years, April, and nobody's checking the clock. We love that. Hello, KC Mama One. Welcome in, and everybody else coming in. Thank you for being here with us. If you do have to go, we always post our replay so you know how we roll on Tuesdays. It is Taco Tuesday, so I'm really thinking it's about some tacos, steak tacos, actually, with all that you offer. So there's so many opportunities. I wanted to, one of the things I wanted to ask you, what was your process, or how do you, maybe I should form it this way, how do you stay ahead of the market with listening to consumer demand? And a lot of consumers have a lot of different things they want, so we can't meet them all. But what
Yeah.
is your benchmark to really listen to?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's not easy. I think probably the biggest difficulty you just mentioned is to stay laser focused because I really want to do something that people like, and what people want is so different, right? And so sometimes you have to reject some things and then focus on some other just for the sake of focus. But I think one thing that I'm really strong on, where I go a bit against the industry norms, and it's really a hill I'm going to die on, is that the customers you have to ask, I think you have to ask paying customers, like not friends or families like some smaller startups do, and not like large random consumer panels like a lot of larger companies do. I think the best feedback really comes from people that actually pay from your product. So what we do is when we started out in the very beginning, like we started with 10 customers, like when the product was really, really, really early. I remember like the very, very, very first person to ever try the product was a vegetarian woman in Baltimore where our lab is. And she said like, oh, this product is amazing. I love that it's not like meat at all. So that was like 3 years ago. So we come a long journey from this. And then we invited 20 people over. Then we outsourced it to a company and asked 100 people. But since we're on the market, we really try to only focus on our real customers because A, like they are our target customers by definition, and B, I think once you pay for something, like the skin in the game changes a bit, right? Like you give better and probably also stricter feedback if you actually paid for it. So or asking chefs like you, right? Like that are actually interested in purchasing the product, not like
Sure.
random chefs that would never get it anyways. Like a I don't know, some companies ask steakhouse chefs or so. This is something I do not believe in as much. And so what we do with new product launches is we take people like some in the chat here and ask them whether they would want to try the product with the next order. And then we just send it out. And then, sometimes it's an upgrade to an existing product and then they can compare, or sometimes it's new product where we're not sure yet whether we want to launch them or whether they're good enough already for launch. And so we just send out small quantities, and then 2 weeks later we send out larger quantities and just get like good feedback with that.
That's great. I can tell April's a big fan because she just said your packaging is awesome. What
Thank
went
you, April.
into your packaging that you get that feedback, I'm sure, from many other people?
It's funny because I don't think we have great packaging yet. I think so. So
Okay.
as a startup, it's something I'm also feel strong on though. As a startup, you sometimes have to be very like small and nimble and fast. And the problem is with like printing, if you buy something in a grocery store, it comes like in a cardboard box. And these are very expensive to print. It's very complicated to print them, but also the order quantities are really high. So
Sure.
once you got these, you're like locked in for at least 6 months. But as a startup, we learn so fast from people what they actually need. So, for example, the cooking instructions, like when we first launched an ecom, like the cooking instructions made many people burn the steak. So we changed them. And so we learned a lot very fast. And so what we do is we vacuum seal them and then like put a card on top that we stamp to the print, and we can order these in batches of 100. So in theory, every week we can have a new packaging.
Nice. Yeah, you have, I mean, there's a lot on the back end that people don't realize, that,
Yeah.
like you said, once you have those runs and they're quite high,
Hmm.
um, they will last you 6 months, if not longer. So it's not easy just to turn the dial so quickly. But the
Yeah.
fact that you listen and you go, okay, let's see how we can make
Yeah.
that work. It's wonderful. I wanted to ask you, we can tell from your accent that you're from Germany and you come
Yeah.
to America and start a
Hmm.
company. I always talk about this because our audience are chefs, professional chefs, home cooks,
Hmm.
and food service operators. As a woman in
Hmm.
it's changing a little bit, but still not enough from my experience.
Hmm.
As a woman in this industry, what is your style of leadership, and how
Hmm.
does that style of leadership impact the culture of your company and, preserve your mission?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like one really positive thing I have to say, because I also like, like saying if something improved. Like I come from Europe, which is a bit more conservative from like a really, really male-dominated industry. So I used to work in management consulting and like corporate, and like I definitely was always very aware that I am a woman because I was one of few, and it became a big part of my identity. But going to the US and like going into a field with a lot of very mission driven people, this is how I explain it. I sometimes, I forget that it's like even ever been an issue that I'm a woman, right? Like, so it's something that isn't as strongly top of my mind anymore, which I'm really, 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 really grateful for. Maybe it would be different if I had like a software company or something. But for me, I'm incredibly grateful for like my investors are very, very supportive. Like my team is very supportive. So I don't think about this as much anymore, which is like amazing. Like I'm so grateful for this. But still, I would say my leadership style is really feminine in that I like to do things a bit scrappy first, and I like to see that they're going well before I go really bold about this. And also, I think I like to, sometimes it's hard for me to be like very hard and like a harsh to people. So I do like to listen and like understand what customers, but also my team wants. Like I would lie if I would say like that I'm not sometimes a bit, I wouldn't say self-conscious, but maybe sometimes I'm a bit insecure looking at our competition. Maybe there's like four other companies doing steaks, and they're all led by like really bold men, and then I look at me and I think it's different. But then when I look at my team, and see the people that want to work with me and like my customers, I think that I also do something the right way there.
I like that. I like you talk about, your leadership style is feminine, but feminine is an energy. We can
Hmm.
have, it's like yin and yang. We have feminine and masculine
Yeah.
energy. My leadership style is like, okay, I'm feminine when that works. But if I have to, hello, Sue, thank you for being here, Sinfully.
That's
Sue, when I have to say I'm in the kitchen, because this is
hmm.
what I think in the US and other kitchens I know where it's male dominated also, there's a different kind of energy. So my
Hmm.
dad being a professional chef, I learned young. You have to stand your ground and let people know I can
Yeah.
wield a knife just like the next person. While I've never had to do that, it's an essence we
Yeah.
put out. So feminine doesn't mean we're soft.
Hmm.
Feminine
Yeah.
means it's an energy that can be very palatable and let people not feel like, oh, they have to put up their guard, because
Hmm.
masculine, you immediately, I don't care who you are, if you have a masculine energy coming at you, sometimes it's opposing, and so we act different. So compassion,
Yeah.
yes, Sue, is very important and so true. Ensel's leadership style makes you want to do more for her. That is awesome to hear. I
That's so
love
cute.
that. So
Thank you.
we all find our way. But I think it's important as women, and including for men, to understand, it's not that we're soft. We have a way. And men, you have a feminine energy also when you choose to use it, as so do we. the masculine when we need to. When I'm out on the docks and I'm having to unload shipping, I'm doing what I have to do. I'm in standing
Yes.
on stage muscle mode, right? So let's shift gears just a little bit, fam. Thank you for being here, everyone, engaging with us and sharing. This is what Plantish is always about. If you've just come in, we're speaking with Insa Mohr. She is the co-founder and CEO of OffBeast Foods. They are makers, pioneers in the whole cut meats, plant-based meats that you can have ribeye, you can have steak, you can have like steak cuts. So you can do so many things with this. Thank you for explaining the difference in energies perfectly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. So, we have so much going on. We're going to shift the gears a little bit because I like to have a lot of fun, and we've been having fun. But tell us, Insa, if Off Beast was a song, what song would it be?
Oh God, I'm horrible with this type of questions.
It's all fun. It's not a test. It's just what comes to your mind. Maybe what do you listen to the most that could fit Off Beast?
I think it would probably a quirky song that, however, appeals to many people the more often they listen to it.
Okay. April, you know the product well, and I'm not calling you out if you're still here with us, but what would you say Off Beast's song would be? Or what do you think about as far as music when you think of Off Beast or you're cooking it in your kitchen? If you can answer that for us, we'll include you in that. What's the biggest aha moment that you've had, Insa, through your time with Off Beast?
Mm, it's interesting. So I think, different levels of aha moments. I think a big one was definitely like, oh, you need like nature, you need like natural things to replicate nature. I think that was a very big thing. I think another aha moment was like the best, there's like in the business world, there's a lot of discussion about go-to-market models and what's the best like business model to do. And there's so much theorizing and like maths you can do on that, on what is best. I think my aha moment was it's literally the best to sell, like to start by selling directly to customers and to talk to customers over and over again, instead of like, I don't know, starting with like contract manufacturing or any other way of doing things.
So you're both food service, as we call it, available
Mhm,
for professionals like me to get into the
mhm,
kitchen. And then you're also direct to consumer.
mhm,
So I put and tagged the link in the chat. You can find it. It's
mhm.
offbeast.com. Okay, April said the song would be Pump, Pumpy. Is that right? By Bastille? Okay, I've got to play
Oh.
that. I'm sure I've heard it, but thank you for
I
that
will
because
listen
now
to
I'm
it.
going to blast that while I'm cooking my off beast, which I'm going to be receiving soon. And April, I'm going to let you know. Powerful and exciting. Okay, perfect. That describes off beast. That was where I was trying to get to. What do you feel when you think of a song that would be off beast? And you, April, thank you for that. Thank you for being so engaging in this conversation. Powerful and exciting. And when you think about it, and I know, April, you said you were talking about the packaging is really good during shipping, and that's so important because I've often paid quite a bit of money for a food product, plant-based, of course, that I wanted. And when I've gotten it, there's been some things damaged, and you try to overlook it. Pompeii, thank you. Thank you for correcting Pompeii. I am going to listen to that. Everybody pull that up. So while you're ordering Off Beast online, you can get excited and know that what you're about to get and put in the skillet or put in the oven, however you're going to put it on your grill, is going to get you excited about that. Because I get very excited about food. I don't apologize. I just love it. While I do
It's
other
amazing.
things, obviously, I love food and I love plant-based food and what it can do. And I think it's a great conversation piece. I think it's also wonderful that we can sit down and break bread. In this case, it would be break off beast together and, have open conversations about our differences and the things that bring us most together, our similarities. Tell me, who would be, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but who's still, not yet, who's still your dream collaboration, whether it be a brand or a chef? Who do you have on your ticker or your wish list that you want to do a collaboration with?
Oh, I can't say this because I have a wish
Oh,
partner and we're working on it.
okay, okay, okay.
And so there is one. Let me see. I'm I think I can also see that I'm European by not knowing a lot of people
Okay, okay,
that are in
okay.
the US. And I know that Beyond Meat is doing these amazing partnerships. Um, but yeah, it's no one, they didn't take anyone that would have kept, I would have had in mind.
No, no. Okay, okay, good. Understand. We respect that. We'll wait for that to happen and then
Yes.
we'll go, well, we
Yes,
knew it was
fingers crossed.
coming.
Unlikely,
I,
but maybe one day. Oh,
yes, I love
one
your
thing. Yes, one amazing thing that happened last year is we know one of the vegan chefs who cooks for one of the Kardashians that is vegan. Is it not Chloe? One,
one of
someone,
them.
yes, one of them who's married to a rock star and they're a vegan
Oh,
family. So they had our products and they liked it.
wonderful. And our celebrities, we see them, our celebrities. We see celebrities go vegan in and out and so that's great because we get a little bump in the exposure, I'm going to say, the
Yeah.
exposure and then it's for us to run with that. I was going to ask you, oh, what's your favorite midnight snack?
My favorite midnight snack, I think it's got to be watermelon right now.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think a big guilty pleasure, like probably not good, but I do like Trader Joe's, and I think they have so many great vegan products, and they have a vegan truffle aioli that I really enjoy. So I've been putting it on way too many midnight snacks. Maybe not on watermelon, but on other ones right now.
All right. See, I told you we were going to get in your business. You're probably like, I didn't really want that out there, but now we know. Go for the watermelon, and we know Insa is maybe having a bite at midnight, which, it's great. What, 98%, almost 99% water, so you can't go wrong. And it kind of satisfies that sweet tooth at the same time. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of lime juice and a little bit of chili on it, and you have it made. That's where I would go. So that's
I'll
what I
try
would
that.
be doing at midnight with it. So what's next? And so what's next, or what are you excited about that you can again speak about with regards to food and technology and what's happening in this space that maybe people aren't thinking about or haven't heard about?
Mm-hmm. So I think for us as a company, it's exciting to see like our partners basically getting bigger and bigger. Also, if anyone like knows a restaurant or a store we should work with, like let us know. Like we're always happy to get new customers. I think the space overall is in a really interesting space right now because right now, if you look at the steaks or also, for example, the salmon fillets we sell, it's like a big novelty and people are blown away on like how different and new and great this is. But there's like, we're developing. So I think in the next 2 years we will be in a phase in a plant-based meat industry where like this gets from like an absolute novelty to like more and more people knowing it, that I think my guess is in 2 years from now it will almost be the expectation that products are that good. And that's something I'm really excited for because based on this, there will be even more exciting products coming on right now, right? So
Yeah.
basically, we're defining what the new normal is and move from like novel, like breathtaking foods to getting like almost the expectation of what a plant-based meat product should be like.
I've heard several of our guests speak to this trend in the same tone
Mhm.
that you're speaking. One person and that you collaborate with is Ofek Ron. And when he came on
Yeah.
with Oshi and we talked about, the salmon and when I first tried it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I haven't, salmon was the last thing I broke up with.
Yeah.
It was like,
Oh.
I've got to break up with you because you're not serving me. And it was tough because that was like what I could hold on to the last. But I did break up. Like, when you
Mhm.
got to break up and you go on. But when I first tasted it, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And, I kind of leaned back, but I knew and I trusted, obviously. It's not like Soylent Green. If you haven't watched that movie, I'm not going to tell you that whole story right now. But I think, to his point, he talked about when I asked him kind of a similar question, it was a little bit different. His point was that we're going to come to a time where it's not alternative, it's not fake, it's
Mhm.
not. a substitute for. It's going to be these novel products that we
Yeah.
haven't even yet thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about meat, you have your red meat, you have your pink pork, you
Yeah.
have your fish, you have your poultry. I mean, when you talk about plants, it's endless. It's
Yes.
endless. I
Agree.
always say to people, I could serve you 365 days a year, 3 times a day, and never repeat the same meal
Yeah. Yeah,
for
that's
all
true.
the edible plants that are out there.
Yeah, that's true. And we have so much more freedom doing like plant-based proteins, right? Because like
Yes.
meat is limited by nature, right? But we want more protein, we can put more protein in it. We want
Yes.
like less fat, we put less fat in it. We want a different type of fat, we put a different type of fat in it. So I agree, there's a lot of opportunities here.
And that's what I love. I think that's the creative part that drives me. Hey, 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 Ted. Ted, I can't, sometimes these names. Ted Digital. That's right. Hey, chef. Hey there. Welcome in. Sorry about that. I need to get the name right because I can't stand mispronouncing names. Sometimes I think about that. That's what's driven me all these years. When I was 8 peeling onions for my dad, I was like, I'm never going to be a chef. I
I
will
love that.
never be a chef. I'm not even getting allowance from this. Who does this to a kid? But, never say never. And here I am. But I love this. So, one thing we always ask our guests, Insa, I want to get on live, on recording, that you'll come back and join us again.
Of course, always.
All right, because we know our guest fam, you know this. What they say today, if you listen to Insa, if you listen to the replay, you're going to hear something, some nugget she gave us, and mark it down because I guarantee you, probably in less than a year, we know about the collab. We're going to say, we got it first on Plantish Live. The other question I want to ask you, Insa, because I find this when I'm interviewed, sometimes you get through, with a delicious conversation like
Mhm,
this, and you kind of go, I wish I was asked this question, or I wish I had
mhm.
shared this with the audience. Well, here is your moment. What do you want people to know or think about most? And what would be something maybe I didn't ask you that you would like to address?
What I want people to know most. I think, yeah, like to everyone who's tried us, like we really, really, really appreciate you. So, like, we always have feedback forms and like ask customers about a lot of things. And I want to let you know, I read every single feedback by myself. Some people know that because I also reach out to them. And even if we also have a survey to ask how delivery went. So even like if your delivery did not go well or there was something wrong, I know it and I will reach out to you. So like everything is like done by us and we really appreciate you. Something like general I want to share. It's like yeah, I hope that plant-based protein, as I said, like this country moves a bit in waves of like nutritional trends. I definitely think it's the right path to go. And I think the strongest thing we can do there is just word of mouth and like talk about us and share this with others to basically put the trend more into that direction.
And I think that's important. And you brought up a point earlier about, if you see a restaurant or a cafe or even in the store when you get there, the power in the consumer to ask. I'm often going in places and saying, do you carry this? Why don't you have this on your menu? And sometimes they don't even, they
Mhm.
look at me like, what are you talking about? And I'll quickly
Yeah.
pull it up on my phone and go, you should really check this out. Even if you're a steakhouse, there
Yeah.
are people that the doctors are saying you've got to lower your cholesterol. You shouldn't be eating so much red meat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's quite novel and very progressive
Hmm.
for companies to be thinking this way. So I'm a huge advocate under my consumer hat. I do a different thing under my professional hat when I go in and work with companies because I do a lot of that. People want to have more plant-based items on their
Hmm.
menu, right? And so we've come a long way with that. But I just think I've loved this conversation.
Thank you.
Fam,
Me
Plantish
too.
fam, thank you for being here with us. Those of you that will catch the replay later, thank you for tuning in. This has been so informative. Insa already promised she'd come back. We have her on live, so she can't
Of
tell me,
course.
but we always respect people's time. And it's just been a pleasure to speak with
Yeah.
you. I
Thank you
can't
so
wait.
much.
Thank you. I can't wait to get the product, and I'm going to make something up. I'll put it up as I do on Instagram so everybody can see where my mind is when I get something like this. And I just want to wish everyone that's joined us and been able to hang out with us, those that came in and needed to go, because we know we're all busy. We just thank you. I want to again say we've been speaking with Insa Mohr. She is the CEO and co-founder of OffBeast Foods, OffBeast. And if you've been here or you watched the replay, you'll know what we're talking about. You'll know the song Pompeii to listen to when you get your OffBeast. And please check out OffBeast at offbeast.com. And we will see you next Tuesday. Mark your calendars. You know, my co-host, Chef Sesabek, who will be back soon. We all have a life. We go live Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you have some form of taco today. Make sure it's taco. It's Tuesday, take care of Tuesday, take care of self. Make sure we continue to walk out into all of your brilliance, our brilliance. I know you could be anywhere and you've chosen to be with us. So we thank you for that. As Insa said, our customers, our clients, our, fam, I like to call it. People call it a fan club. I call it a fam club because we're all in this together and we so appreciate you. And so we wish you continued abundant success. And I
Thank you
can't
so
wait to
much,
see
Nina.
more that's going to come. All right. And I'll be posting sometime soon, not today, but I'll be posting sometime soon to check out. If you haven't followed Off Beast, please do so. If you haven't followed me and you like what I say, please do so. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you again, Insa and
Thank you,
fam.
Nina. I appreciate everything you're doing. Have a
Oh,
good
thank
day.
you. You too. Bye, fam.
Bye bye.